But tonight's big story and our breaking news remains around the Adani Enterprises follow-on public offer that was fully subscribed this evening. But now details emerging suggest that the bids were mainly by non-institutional investors and qualified institutional buyers, not by retail investors, and they have helped that FPO sail through. The non-institutional investors quota is subscribed by 332%. Many of them include the family offices of some of India's top businessmen. Qualified institutional buyers quota was subscribed 126%. The retail quota, on the other hand, received only 11% bids. Employee quota received 51% of the bids. So clearly there has been an attempt to ensure that that FPO was fully subscribed and give a reprieve to Gautam Adani's group of companies that have been under severe pressure on the markets in the last few days. So that's the big story that's coming in at the moment. So the Adani group gets relief after days in which we've seen that their FPO was under the scanner after the Hindenburg research report suggested several irregularities in stock manipulation, claimed a slew of shell companies and made various allegations against the manner in which the Adani group of companies were being run. The shares took a complete battering over the last few days, and now there seems to have been some relief for Gautam Adani and his beleaguered group. That's the story that's coming in at the moment. Remember, this has also roiled the stock markets, but also Parliament today. In Parliament today, political parties, particularly the opposition, raised questions and called for an inquiry into the Hindenburg report. Let's take a look at just how the politics has played out. Several political parties, opposition parties in particular, have... Okay, joining me now is Saurabh Majumdar, the editor of Business Today. Saurabh, how are you seeing this as relief for Adani? Is it a temporary reprieve, or does this mean that the worst is behind him, given that there was so much of scrutiny of this FPO and whether it would be fully subscribed? It appears at the moment that it's not retail investors, but actually NIIs, non-institutional investors, that some would say have bailed out Gautam Adani.
Yes, Rajdeep, I think it's definitely a huge relief for the Adani group because till yesterday there was no surety about what would be the final outcome of the FPO. But having said that, I must tell you that, retail investors typically would be staying away in these times of extreme volatility in the whole Adani Group stock. And you're aware of the kind of battering the stocks have taken across the group since the Hindenburg allegations came out last week. Having said that, there is an NII element which has come in strongly in favor of the Adani Group, as have QIBs, the qualified institutional buyers, including the Abu Dhabi's IHC, which has been an existing investor, which is yesterday declared and put in $400 million in the FPO. So I think it's definitely a huge reprieve and a huge relief at this point for Adani Group. But, some of those issues will have to be addressed over time. And, it's not clearly the end of the story in that sense, though I must say that at this point, having had India's largest FPO subscribed fully is a big milestone for the group.
What happens to Adani stocks, though, now, which have taken a battering? Is there a sense that because the FPO is fully subscribed, this will also slowly but surely result in stock value rising, or will that depend entirely on whether retail investors in particular, there haven't been too many in the past in Adani stocks, will they sort of now have confidence after what's happened today?
Well, it's certainly, there is a level of confidence which will come as a result of the FPO fully being subscribed. But having said that, as I said earlier, some of those questions which Hindenburg has thrown up do remain. And those will be sort of doing the rounds even as we speak and in the days ahead. But I think at this point, the worst for the stock, at least the battery of stocks would be behind the Adani Group. And, the market would also be hoping for a sense of calm because this was really, remember, this was a big, big milestone. And there was a lot of expectation about how the FPO would pan out. And, there is also, you must remember, Rajdeep, that when investors put in money, there would be the question that why have people put in money when the stock, the offer price of the FPO is at a higher level than the market price. Now, there is this argument that when you put in, if a large investor were to put in money in the secondary market, there is a possibility of the stock rising sharply. That would not happen in an FPO because the stock price is given. So there are these factors which are playing out, and therefore the NIIs and QIBs have sort of put in. But remember, the retail investor has stayed away, and unless the retail investor gets a clear sense of calm and clarity as far as the stocks and the movement of the stock prices goes, I don't see retail investors really, and also the floating stock is still low, as you rightly said. Of course, the FPO addresses some part of that, and also the debt. But I think there is going to be, it's not fully over yet, let us say. But at the same time, this is definitely a big, big relief for the Adani Group for the moment.